All right, let's let people come into the show about nothing. Hello, everyone. David Nuno, Raheel Ramzanali here in the basement of our parents' house doing a little podcast that we call the No Layup Show. Hey, Heezy.
How you doing, man?
Buddy, I think everybody on the Astros is going to get hurt by the end of the week, it feels like, at least from the pitching staff. It's been a weird couple of days for the most hated, loved baseball team in Houston.
Yeah, to see some of the pros talk about this and former major league players talking about the ramp up. What happened was, okay, the players found out there's going to be a season. They had 2 weeks to get ready, okay? And if you're a pitcher, and this is why we're seeing so many pitcher injuries, specifically with the Houston Astros right now, we've got Forrest Whitley, who's dealing with soreness. Of course,
Yep.
Justin Verlander, the most popular one and the ace of the staff. Osuna, Presley. I mean, everyone is struggling right now. Biagini, there's so many injuries. And to see some former major league guys talk about this, they said, yes, this makes sense because the hitters, you can work yourself into playing shape with games and a limited camp. But with pitchers, it's impossible. Like, it's just not going to work out. And we're starting to see some of the effects now.
Hey, let me take a moment here as people populate, and thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. I agree. As we are getting into our baseball talk, can I talk a second about hair?
Absolutely, you can.
I'm a big fan of my hair. Okay, I haven't had a real haircut since the beginning of the pandemic. I know people go to salons and barbershops and do their stuff. I haven't. I've been doing my own haircut. I haven't touched my top at all. I'm noticing the mushroom is starting to build, right? And I don't know what to do because I'm scared to touch the top because that's the money makers. I get paid, right? Like I can mess up the sides. I can stay like this. You'll never know on TV, right? But that being said, right now it's not. I don't know. You see the Mario Brothers mushroom head?
Look, it's hard to maintain a good length on your own, and you have to even it out a little bit. I feel you. Like, do you trust your wife to even it out
No,
for you?
no,
No, right? Because I didn't let my wife cut my hair either.
no.
And
There's no trusting there.
yeah, I just kind of figured out, and I just have a pair of thinning scissors. I'll just thin it up a little bit, and just kind of make it work. But you're way more bold than I am because you fade it yourself, right? Like you take the clippers yourself.
This
I
is a
can't do
quality
that.
fade. Look
I
at that.
can't do that. See,
And,
yeah, I can't do it.
and true story, I do the back without looking. I eventually look, but I go completely based on faith. I go, you like the sound effects?
Yeah.
And I go, all right, I think it's a line, and I kind of feel it.
Why are you trimming with a lawnmower? I'm so confused now.
Well, it's a small one,
Yeah.
but I look, and then I go and I get a mirror, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good. So I try to even it out as well as I can, and then I'm like, in 3 days it'll grow out, whatever. So
Every once in a while, I get the urge to go get a haircut, and then I'm like, nah, it's just not worth it. Like, why? Why do I need a haircut right now?
hardwood, hardwood daddy. You see what he says? It says my cut is uneven. Yeah, of course it's uneven.
Yeah, he did it by himself. Yeah.
Of
Hey,
course.
breaking news. Hardwood Daddy has just broken news here, guys.
Hey, but here's the thing: 97.8% of the people that I come in contact with don't notice it. In fact, people are so nice; they say, "Dude, who does your hair? Looks great." And I'm like, "Well,
Okay, but
what do you ask?"
in this current climate, 97% of the people you run into, that's like 4 people. How many people do you run into?
Well, I'm kind of like what's his name, Howard Hughes. Kind of a stay at home. I'm scared of
Yeah.
people. This is literally my life.
Yeah.
Work stuff, soccer practice. The end. That's all I do. Like, I don't really do the grocery store. That's a family thing. Oh, Raheem, he's gonna evaluate your haircut now. Okay,
All
Raheem.
right. Yeah,
All right.
mine is just like I just put in some random product and just go with the surfer look. I don't care. Whatever. Like I've just been at the beach all day.
Uneven hair. So yes, those of you hoping to click onto the show and hear us talking about baseball, we're going to talk baseball. We're going to talk Dash. For those of you who didn't see what the Houston Dash did last week, they won the Open Cup Championship in the NWSL. Awesome. Jane Campbell, who's I've interviewed several times, awesome person to talk to. She'll join us. And we'll just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Like today is a Sunday show with no actual, we know what we want to get to, but you guys can help steer the show as long as you're not rude. And today I feel like a very nice audience has joined us, Raheel.
Perfect. That's what I love. I can't wait to talk to Jane, by the way, because I'm so curious about the analytics of goalkeeping, and especially what she did in the knockout round against Utah. She had 3 out of 4 stops in penalty kicks, right? And she guessed correctly.
Yeah.
One of them should have been another stop, excuse me, and she didn't get that stop. Like, she got a hand on it and she guessed correctly. So I want to talk to her about the analytics of goalkeeping. I'm really excited about that. I don't know if everyone else is, but I love talking to the world-class athletes about what they do to prepare and analytics that go into certain situations.
Raheel, nobody cares right now about sports. At the moment, it is all about spicy boy hair, and so apparently that's what people want to talk about. I got an
Okay, give me
idea.
go ahead, because I have an idea too here about hair if we're gonna do this.
So I'm thinking, help me pay for 4 kids' college one day, and we do Corona cuts from my garage, right? No AC. It's summertime. You get one haircut. It's like the soup Nazi, right? You get one soup or whatever. Like, you got to go. You get one haircut, and it's a bald fade, and it might not be even. Charge everybody what, $11? The end. You can tip if you want.
True story. One of my neighbors, or somebody that lives in my neighborhood, because he's like a couple streets down, but he has a barber chair in his garage, and I've seen plenty of dudes roll up. So he already took your business plan and he's executing it right now. Like, this guy, every day when I walk my dog, he's over there giving haircuts, and I want to go up to him and be like, hey, how much? But again, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know. It's fine. I'll go with the shaggy look for right now. Best haircut.
Hey, we're having fun here, but I did not know the story that Leah just talked about the missing New York Mets. So I am catching up. So we'll get to that here momentarily. Apparently, it was posted 2 days ago. I just did a Google search. So no, I am not aware of that story, Leah. We will do some due diligence and make sure that we actually give it the proper conversation that is expected. But yeah, no, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, Raheel, because James Harden, that performance he put on the other night. Here's my problem with sports right now, and we were talking about it pre-show. I'm so busy watching sports. It's a great problem to have, except for some reason, all of our teams think it's a good idea. Hey, instead of a 3-hour window, let's do a 5-hour window of sports. Let's go into overtime against the Mavs. Let's go into extra innings against the Angels and the Dodgers and everybody else. No, guys. Let's just 9 innings and move on.
Yeah, let's just win easily and move on. That's what I'm with you. But some thoughts from the NBA real quickly. James Harden saw so many double teams against the Mavericks. They obviously got off to a great start in the first quarter. Then the second and third quarter, it was not that good. And then the fourth quarter comeback, especially what they did in the final minute of that game, down 7. Robert Covington's tip was incredible. James Harden was fantastic in that game. Russell Westbrook's hustle is second to none. I mean, that dude does not stop. It doesn't matter what the score is. And look, frankly, the Dallas Mavericks, that's a great offensive team. They ran out of gas. Okay, they ran out of gas, and the Rockets took full advantage of that. Other things from the NBA regarding the defense, right? Like, so many teams have been giving up so many points and all of this, and the Rockets, of course, giving up all the points that they did in that first half was historic. They're going to play themselves into shape, right? Like, defense does take a lot of effort and cardio. But with the Rockets, it doesn't matter what the score is, how many points it is. All they care about is, can you get big stops under 5 minutes in the fourth quarter? Like, keep it close enough, and then can you get those stops? And that was exactly what happened on the Friday night game and in their opening game. In overtime, they just slowed down the Mavericks. Like, it wasn't even fair. So the Rockets, we'll never see a team that is going to be great defensively, okay? Because from the top down, has Daryl Morey ever valued defense? Not that much, right?
I think he values it, but he puts some value.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does. Like, I'll be honest, I don't think he does.
You think he doesn't value it?
No. Because what does he value more, offense or defense?
More offense.
Yeah,
I think he values it. He brought in a defensive coordinator, Jeff Bezalek, several times. I think there's a value, but I know what you mean. He puts way more stock in. By the way, can I address a couple things in the comments?
No, wait. I have thoughts to finish real quick.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So, does he value defense? I'm going to say, okay, does he care about defense? Sure. I don't think he values it as much because they let Bezalek go and they brought him back because the team was so bad defensively in 18. Yep. Number 2, does Mike D'Antoni value defense? I don't think he does. Like, it's more important for them to be offensively great. Does James Harden value defense? I think he's improved on defense, but when you have three of the most important basketball guys in your franchise that have a certain mentality, you're never going to be a great defensive team. But that doesn't mean you can't get stops when it matters.
But they have, if you look at their lineup, okay, so the three most important players are absolutely offensive players in an offensive league, right? But they, I believe, put a premium in their role players being defensive-minded, tough guys. PJ Tucker, Pat Beverly from the past, Jeff Green, he's a defensive player, right? I mean, in long defensive players. Now, they don't pay them the way they pay the Russells. They don't pay them the way they pay the James. But I think that's more the way the league is moving. Now, coaching philosophy, I believe D'Antoni adapts his game to his talent. And James Harden is a guy who needs the ball in his hand to create his offense. When he had Steve Nash, there was a little bit more movement, more 7 seconds on the court, you're done. But yeah, he is an offensive mind, just like Bill O'Brien is a
offensive mind and a QB whisperer.
He is. He whispers into the ear.
That's why there's always communication issues. Like, hey, Bill, why don't you speak up a little bit? Stop whispering all the time. Like, that'd be nice.
Hardwood Daddy says that Harden is below average. I think he used the word suck, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on here. So we'll go with below average instead of the word suck. He's not. He's in fact a Hall of Famer. Like that's the bottom. He is the very minimum a Hall of Famer. He doesn't suck. Are there issues with his game? Absolutely. There's issues with his game. There was issues with Dirk's game until he became a champion. There's and there's still issues, but he is a amazing offensive talent. And Tony asked about his hair. He doesn't need a new hair. I don't know what's going on with the hair. I don't know what he's doing. He might need a Nuno garage cut.
He's growing it out because I think he's gonna put the dreads in there soon.
Oh, okay.
Or like the twist that he did before. Yeah, I think he'll do that. But they have access to haircuts in the bubble. They have a barber shop that is stocked with the best barbers that the NBA players use. Like, that is incredible. They just have this little pop-up barber shop. So yeah, I don't think he needs a garage haircut, Nuno. I think he can just roll up and go get it.
If he wants an awesome uneven bald fade where his top is not touched, Corona cuts the Nuno garage. I'm just saying. There's very limited lighting.
Did you watch any YouTube tutorials before you started?
I did, and then unfortunately, the first person I did a haircut on was Cruz Nuno, one of my twins, and the fade was it was in fact the best I'd ever done because I was like watching the video and doing it. The mistake I made was he wanted a line right here.
Oh no,
a Ronaldo line.
You messed that up for sure.
That Ronaldo line was so bad. It was an embarrassment to what hair is all about. So, I think we got a special guest ready to roll. Raheezy.
Hey, guys.
Jane Campbell joining us. What's up, Jane?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we appreciate you joining the show. Are you at the mall?
I'm away, hopefully, from all the noise. So.
Where are you?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, actually visiting my mom and dad.
Oh, all right. So, Raheel, Jane and I had a conversation right before the tournament started. She's doing so many things off the pitch that I'd like to talk to her about. But we're going to start off with, how was last weekend? Tell me about it. How great was that?
It was awesome. Words can't really describe it. I mean, all, the behind-the-scenes stuff that was going on with COVID and, the George Floyd horrific passing and hearing, there were so many factors going into the tournament. And obviously the most important was us staying safe and healthy and having the staff being safe and healthy. So we survived and came out as champs, which is great. So it was an awesome experience.
Yeah, just talk about how the league did everything with the quarantine, being there in Salt Lake. Like, how was the overall experience? Did you guys feel safe the whole time?
Yeah, I definitely think entering the bubble, I think, truthfully, I think a bunch of us were a bit skeptical. We just didn't really know what to expect. Of course, they laid out kind of what was going to happen and everybody's rules and, regulations we had to follow. But I think going in, we were all kind of like, how on earth is this going to work? And, sure enough, there's a few wrinkles here and there, but that's always going to happen with anything thrown together. And besides the wrinkles, whether it was like food being missing or something
Hmm.
like that, it was very, very, very safe, and they handled everything so well and so professionally, and all the testing was great, and no one came back positive, which was awesome throughout all the teams. And
Jane, we're getting you in and out a little bit, so we're gonna put you on hold for a second. Maybe you can walk to another part because we're losing you quite a
okay.
bit when you speak. So
Oh,
let's try
right.
this again here in a second, and then when you get situated, we'll bring you back on. All right. So sorry. I know it's kind of hard when you're using the world's internet, Raheel.
Yeah.
But we'll get Jane back on here in a second to get her on. But look, whatever sport you're into, I think soccer has done a very good job all around the world, not just Europe, like MLS, NWSL, La Liga, all these of being the first ones to get on the pitch. I mean, the Dash were the first team in the city to start practicing. So props to what soccer's been able to do, and we'll get more on here. We're getting a lot of props today on Facebook. I mean, a lot of props, like more than I'm used to.
Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate that for the props, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast, the Raheel Show podcast. And I think it's the hair, just that everyone can relate to just, hey, did you just get out of bed hair? Is this what it is? It's actually his post workout hair. That's what it is. That's why.
Yeah, no, I think you sent out a message like, hey, I want people to like me a little bit more than they've liked me in the past. You send it out to all your friends on your basketball team and all the stuff you do. So let's see if we can get Jane Campbell back here on the show. Hello, Jane.
How are you guys? Can you hear me now?
I think so. We're gonna try to make it work. Though we're gonna try to make it work. So I got to ask you this. You guys had so much fun. When was that? On Wednesday, when you were celebrating with your fans. I mean, in fact, our sports producer Joe Gleason was there, and he got a video of Rachel jumping on a car that went very viral. I mean, you guys really, really enjoyed just celebrating with your fans.
Yeah, I think the parade, obviously, everyone always thinks of parades, like when the NFL, they have their parade, get to bust around the city, and all the fans are there together, and it's a big celebration together. So we were all a bit interested to see what the parade was actually going to be like. But, Houston came out, I think, we heard that there's maybe like 450 cars lined up all through the city, going to try and drive through BBVA to see us, which is it's just incredible. I mean, we had no idea who was going to show up or what it was even going to be like. And for the fans and us to somewhat be together, social distancing and everything, I think it was just incredible that they came out, and this win was, all for them, and we couldn't have done it without them.
I want to talk to you about analytics real quickly. Being a goalkeeper and what you did in the first round of the knockoff playoffs. Penalty kicks, it's all on you. You had, of course, you're the reason you guys move on, just incredible stops. How much goes into scouting tendencies and keeping those analytics on top of mind versus just the feel of that moment? Because it's the most pressure, obviously, it's you against another player, and that is it. There's no other factors, right? But how much of that goes into it, the scouting versus the natural feel of the moment?
Yeah, what was interesting about this tournament was once regulation ended, you went straight into PKs. There's no overtime. So for us, especially going into the elimination games after the group games, we knew, that was easily going to be a possibility. I mean, I think 3 out of the 4 quarterfinal games went to a shootout. So, the second we hit elimination games, I told the staff, I was like, I want everything we can get.
Looks like we lost Jane.
Yeah. So, hey, Jane, we're gonna catch up with you
we could
soon.
potentially face, just so I can start to learn and start to read certain players and what their tendencies are. And like you said, it is really just me and one other person. And
All right, I'm gonna.
with a shootout, I love it. I thrive off of it, and I wouldn't have changed it.
Hey, Jane, the signal is not being kind to us, but I did want to take this time to tell you thank you for what you've done for the city.
Can you guys hear
Hope
me?
during a Corona time that, this city really, we haven't had that many championships, and this tournament really came at the right time. Your performance was amazing. We followed it all the way through, and we hope to catch up with you when you're back in town. And maybe, hey, I'm crossing my fingers we get some more NWSL here in 2020, because you never know. They may bring you guys back, so I'm hoping for that.
All right.
All
So
right.
yeah,
It was an
think the
awkward
signal.
pause.
Yeah, the signal
She's
just
great,
didn't
though.
work out.
Her performance during this tournament, like, I mean, they got through. There were matches where they weren't scoring very much because it was a very defensive tournament, and she was the difference, right? She was a huge difference, and then the Dash were able to have opportunistic goals. The last 2 games they had in the tournament, they found that offensive spark, and she closed it out. So props to the Dash. James Clarkson, who used to be with the Dynamo Academy, done a great job with what he has done with the Dash. So very happy. All the people there, Zach Emmons, the entire staff. So thanks so much for setting that up. And thank you to Paloma also for setting up that interview.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get her back on once we have that Wi-Fi figured out. But man, that was cool. That was a lot of fun to at least give them their props, right, on the #1 show right now, basically, with featuring David and Raheel.
So Hardwood Daddy, who I feel weird saying that name out loud, like on a show, like Hardwood Daddy. Just doesn't fit my the way I say it, at least. He asked, what would Harden's numbers be like in 1986? I'm one of those that I think James can score in any era.
Yeah.
But no, he's not Michael Jordan.
Well, hold on. So the pace, though, wouldn't be that different. Like the Nuggets were incredible offensively, right? Like their pace was so incredible. When you go back and look at some of the numbers from the 90s and 80s, obviously it was a more defensive and center-based league, right? That's what it was. The tempo stuff didn't make its way into the mainstream yet, but there were some Nuggets teams that would put up 120, 130 points with taking like 1 3-pointer a game. So this was all about pace, So I don't think the numbers would be that off if you put current-day James Harden into 80s basketball. And the other thing about the 80s and 90s defensively, we put it in such like lore and mythic value that everyone needs to relax on that. Were there hard fouls? Yes. Were some of the games intense? Absolutely. But if you just go watch any random regular season game from the 80s up until like 96, the defense wasn't that hard. Like it wasn't this groundbreaking defense.
No, but the difference was there was a difference in what was allowed, what wasn't. The hand check, the physicality was certainly more there. Are the athletes today better, more gifted? Sure, but I think you're all a product of the environment you're in that era, right? And I think James back then would have still been a gift to score, but the game was played differently. He learned those moves in this era, right? Just like Dream learned his. By the way, and there are certain players that transcend eras, right? Like they change the game. I do think that the 80s was a more physical game, without a doubt, that you couldn't get to the rim the way you get to today. That's for sure, right? And when you were knocked down, you learned not to go back in the paint. That's where I think the difference is. James, I don't know if he would have averaged 35 points in 1989. I don't know. I do believe that certain star players, legendary players, would be fine in most. Akeem Olajuwon would still be a great center in today's game. Today.
Yeah, he would. And I think James would be fine. And no, did I watch basketball like when I was 5 years old? No. But you know what I do have the luxury of? Of watching them on YouTube now. And
slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down on the YouTube thing. Because because like when people say, oh, I watch Michael Jordan on YouTube, I really think to capture the essence of the moment, you had to see it live. You can go back and watch. Like I can go back and watch Pele videos. And like, oh yeah, whatever. He's just a dude who's good, right? But like in that moment, with all the information we have the benefit of history and comparisons now. They didn't have it then.
No, but that's why. Like I go watch full games. Like I did this thing. Anytime I was on the elliptical, I would go watch a full game on YouTube from that era. and watch, and it's specifically for, man, how physical was the game back then. And yes, it was a little bit more physical. Absolutely. Like, there's no denying that. But it wasn't this highlight tape of incredibly hard fouls every possession. It wasn't. Like, it just was not that. Was it
No, but the
harder
flow
to
of
get
the
to
game was different.
Yes, it absolutely, because, and there's two things at play there. The hand check rule, absolutely. Number two was the pace was different because the offenses back then went through the center. So
Right.
the pace was different because of that as well. Now it's all perimeter based, right? So the pace is different. You're not getting more post ups as much. Now you do still see some post ups, but it's not the focal point.
See, again, we're all products of the era that we kind of grew up in, if you will, right? So I'm more of a fan of the post up kind of basketball. Yeah. I know people hated it when Barkley and Dream played together, and it would be one, pass to the right, dribble, 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 pass back out. You're like, I love that kind of basketball because to me, it did feel like a chess match. You double down here, got Matt Maloney draining threes, baby.
Yeah, again, I like all eras of basketball. Like today's era, I know a lot of people don't like it for whatever reason because they shoot too many threes. The defense might not be as great, right? So I get that, and like you don't have to like it, but I'll tell you what, I like all eras. Like, it's basketball, right? Like, you have to appreciate what was happening at the time, and you have to appreciate the style. So I think
like the athletes from today better or back then?
I like today's pace a lot. And I think it's fun. I don't think it's a bad style of basketball. You have obviously great athletes there, and you have more scoring. You know what I don't miss? I don't miss games that ended 83-80. I don't think that was as much fun to watch. And I watched the 90s. I was old enough to watch it. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this question. What is the difference between a lot of scoring and no scoring? It's basically the same thing, right? Like, if you score a lot or you don't score, the possession's kind of like in an 88-point game, the possessions actually matter a bit more. But if you're going to score, the more scoring to me means the fourth quarter takes on a bigger prominence as opposed to the 3/4. But in a game where you're going to score 88 points and you're struggling to get to 20 in the first half, it might be too insurmountable. Today, you can score 40 in a quarter.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. In a paced game where you are going to end up in 110, 115 territory, if you don't get buckets in 3 or 4 possessions and the other team does, and specifically the Rockets, like they use this math, right? The 3 versus 2. So if they go hit 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4 3-pointers, that all of a sudden is a lead, right? And then that can snowball into something else. But then you also, again, like you mentioned, the fourth quarter becomes more important because you can always come back. You can always come back. You're always there. And possessions still matter, right? Whether it be low scoring or a high scoring game, you miss shots 4 out of 5 possessions. That's the same thing. Like, it doesn't matter if it's an 80s or 100-point game because now those possessions are wasted, and the other team, if they hit them, they've got that lead. So I can see it both ways. And my thing is, I like watching basketball, period. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be offended if I'm watching an 80s game or a current game. I like basketball, and I can appreciate both styles. But if I have to pick one, I love today's game. I think it's fun to watch, and I think what they're doing, the athletes, it's incredible.
Here's the truth, though. It all depends how old you are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I go back to my youth. I loved Barkley, Dream, Jordan. Like, to me, those guys were titans of the game. I'm older than these dudes now. I could be some of their dads, which is really awkward to say out loud. But, like, so there's a different kind of connection with today's athlete than there was 20 years ago for me, right? I looked up to Michael. I looked up to Charles. So I hold them in a different place than perhaps we look at these guys. These guys now are just superior athletes in a different world. Social media has changed the relationship with the media and the athlete. Everything is different, right? But from a pure basketball point of view, I don't love iso ball, but you could say the exact same thing that Charles was doing with the Rockets, which was basically an iso ball in the paint. Yeah. Dribble, wait till you make your move. I make my move.
Yeah, you're right. It comes down to one thing, like what you prefer, your age, all of that. But, like you and I are lucky enough to, and more you remember the 90s. Like you were, you remember the games, the era, all of that. So
hey, this is a true story, Raheel. I remember more about the 1988 Oakland A's and because I was a big Canseco fan, the 94 Rockets championship run and 95 run, than what the Texans did last year. And I cover the Texans. Now, I'm not saying I don't remember these things, but like there's certain things from your childhood that are etched in your brain that you'll never forget. You just remember things differently. The Oilers 93 defensive line, like last year, if I had to go through, I know JJ's on there. Who else? DJ Reader. There's like a mental gymnastics that I have to do to get there. When you get older, you have a lot more stuff in your brain. You're cluttered with a lot more things are more important than lineups of stars. But I can literally tell you, like the Oakland A's, Mark McGwire at first base. You had Walt Weiss. You had Carly Lansford. You had Dave Henderson. Ricky Henderson, Dave Parker at DH, and I remember all those things differently than I do now.
Yeah, and look, as you get older, as you said, there's more information. There's only so much space, right, in your brain that you'll remember, and then the connection is important. The emotional connection to what you're watching does matter. Like you will remember more because you're connected more, and there was less things going on in your life, right? You're not distracted either. Like for me, I have to make a conscious decision now when I'm watching games. I get out my notebook, I have to write notes, and I put my phone away. The only time I pick up my phone now is during timeouts or free throws because I just forget everything because I'm always on my phone, right?
The phone. Like we live in a world where like if you don't check your Facebook or your email every 3.5 minutes, like, oh, look, Groupon sent me another message. Like it's like, and you don't even realize you're doing it. You're just like, like, come on, man. Like, we got to get off our phones. Sorry. Unless you're watching the ABC 13 stream.
Yeah, or you're on the ABC 13 app. Then stay on it as long as you can.
Raheel, you haven't asked anybody to smash the like button.
Oh, yeah. Please smash the like button. That'd be great if you're watching still. And make sure you share this.
Technically, they're watching on the ABC 13 stream. But if you go to the very top, right, you'll have my handle and Raheel's handle. Go to mine first. If you have time afterwards, go to Raheel's and like his as well.
Hey, what are your thoughts on the Astros so far? We talked about the injuries a little bit. We talked about what's happening with the ramp up of baseball. We need to answer our own question as well. If we were the Major League Baseball commissioner, if David Nuno was the commissioner today, would you cancel the season based on everything that has come out with the Phillies, the Marlins, and the postponement of certain games and practice and this and that? Would you cancel the season?
No, because it's funny, and right now it might be all talk, but listening to the Texans, obviously not the NFL, not the MLB, the way they're going about policing their guys and the way they're keeping their guys insulated and safe, and the technology that they put inside of NRG Stadium, where it does facial recognition to go in the locker room, and you don't have to touch things, you wave at certain things, doors to open, and I believe. Again, I'm not there to see it, but I feel that the NFL has at least given the players a chance. I'm not saying that the MLB hasn't, but some MLB teams have been a little bit, from what it sounds like, they haven't taken it as seriously as I think they should. I think you expand the rosters, you find a way to get it done. Obviously, if this continues to be a trend, right? Right now we have the Cardinals, we have the Marlins. If it continues to be a trend, you've got to pause everything. But I don't think we have enough bad things out there to cancel the season just yet. But they've got to get their act together. I almost said something else.
Man, the players have to take this upon themselves as well. I know we all want to blame Manfred for everything, the protocols and all this, but at some point, the players have to go, hey, is it worth going to X, Y, and Z and breaking the shelter in place and putting yourself in risk and putting the other teammates at risk for COVID-19? It's just not worth it. And I think the players have to at some point go, yeah, you know what? This season truly depends on me. Like it is a one-person thing, right? Like you have to respect that. And I think we have to hold the players accountable more because as much as I don't like the way Manfred has handled certain things in baseball, this one's not his fault. Like you have to trust people. You trust adults to be making good decisions and professional athletes that realize that this all depends on you and let them make those decisions. So I can't blame him too much. And I'm in your corner in this that, yeah, I wouldn't cancel the season just yet.
So we just got a message saying that the Reds are the latest one. I know that Votto has the symptoms of the coronavirus. Also, that message that we were told earlier about a Mets player. The Mets have not been able to contact Yoenis Cespedes, who did not report to Truist Park for Sunday's game against the Atlanta Braves, according to General Manager Brody Van. I can't say his last name, Waganen, and that's from ESPN. So that's some very big news there, that they are searching for Cespedes, which is a very scary thing. Hopefully, he just went out and it's just running late. That's hopefully what it is. Hopefully. But we'll following that story. And yes, Jay Bauer 509 is saying he's hearing about the COVID hitting the Reds now. That's the scary thing, though. Like it's what I've always been scared of for the NFL, college football. The bubble is different, right? The bubble's got their own concept that I think is working. But what happens if the quarterback room gets COVID? You can't call the Roughnecks to borrow their quarterback, right? If Deshaun gets it, like you're in the entire quarterback room gets it, you're in trouble, right? If the linebackers get it, who are you going to have playing linebacker? You have a safety, so that part of it is scary. Same thing with Major League Baseball. The Astros are not getting hit by COVID, but they are getting hit by the injury bug, and that's the thing. Forcing a season, a quickened spring training, if you will, all these things. It just feels like, because we're in Houston, that we're hearing all about the team that we cover, but all teams are struggling with the arms as well.
Yeah, that point is scary about the NFL. Is, again, if there's 50 guys, right, but 2 of them don't respect the rules and the protocols, and they go out or they run into somebody that has it, and now they spread it within that closed environment, because as you mentioned, and Bill O'Brien has talked about on his press conferences leading up to the beginning of training camp, it is a tight bubble within NRG. But again, if you bring in COVID-19 and you're asymptomatic, or you didn't show on the test that you were positive, and 2 days later you have it and you've been spreading it, man, it could be a disaster in terms of what to do logistically. Do you just forfeit the game because you don't have linebackers? Do you what do you do? Like, do you just put other guys there? Do you call up guys? Because if everyone in one room, and they're going to be putting social distancing guidelines within those meeting rooms as well,
right?
And how they operate, so it won't be as as tight knit. But when you start playing football, there's no social distancing, right? Unless you're a Texans secondary member during a playoff game or against the Patriots, and you just forget to cover certain guys. But this is going to happen. You're right. What happens if there is an outbreak? What do you do? Do you go sign a guy and you sign some guys to just fill in that 2 days before a game, or do you cancel the game?
You have to. No, I think you have to. By the way, I think it was JJ who said it yesterday that this NFL season, and really Major League Baseball, everybody, who stays the safest from Corona could determine who wins this all. And that's a very smart point that he made yesterday. Like it really could come down to that, along with the other injury issues that creep up. Yeah, that could be a huge one as well.
Yeah, and with the NFL, the lack of preseason games now, like those guys working themselves into shape, that's going to be another angle to watch, right? We see it with Major League Baseball. When you ramp it up out of nowhere, it is tough. Now, they're going to have a lot of practice time. The NFL training camps are long now, but what happens when you go from practice speed and scrimmage speed to game day speed? That's going to be scary. Yeah, it's totally different. You can't replicate it, right? So that's going to be another angle to watch. I think the NBA figured it out, and we'll see what happens with them. And look, it's just 1 week in terms of the actual games and really ramping this up. But we'll figure out if that works, right? Again, on paper, it works. If you have a closed bubble environment where everyone respects the rules and everyone is negative, COVID just doesn't appear. Right. So
how do you do that, though, in an NFL world where your rosters are so big and your team staff is so big? And you just rent out every hotel in the city and you guys can only go here in the bus. That's it.
Yeah, either that. And I forgot who it was on Twitter. So I apologize for not getting the account's name. But it was a sports media journalist who put, why not do it in Hawaii? Why not move everybody to Hawaii? They have enough hotel rooms. They have enough football fields, and you have to, like the NBA, you're going to have to make extra fields that are TV ready, right? Like the camera angles, Everything has to be perfect, but there's enough space out there from a hotel standpoint, from a field standpoint. Why not do that? Is it going to cost money? Yes, but is it worth it for the NFL and the safety of the players and surrounding staff members? Probably.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see Vegas being an option as well. Even though I know that's not the environment that they want. Even though we have a team now there, but I could see Vegas being an option. I could see, but that's not going to happen. We're August the 2nd.
It's way too late. Like Houston could be a good one too, right? We have enough hotel rooms. We got plenty of football fields, obviously being, one of the headquarters for football, Texas football. What's up, baby?
Also, we're also the headquarters for Corona right now too, though.
Yep.
So that's the just like Florida is.
Yeah, just like Florida is. But again, if you create a bubble environment and everyone respects the rules and the protocols, then you'll be fine. There's a reason why Lou Williams had to quarantine for 10 days.
What'd you think of that whole thing?
I loved it. Like, my man went and got some wings. Come on. You know what? He was craving it. Was it the right move? Optically, it wasn't a good move.
But he was going to have to quarantine anyway, right? Because he left.
It would be 4 days. Yeah. So like Zion, Austin Rivers, they did 4 days of quarantine, and they would have to get 2 negative tests to return to team activities.
Why the difference? Why does it matter?
Okay, here's why. So if I go home for a family emergency and I am getting tested every single day and I am exposed to, let's say, 5 people, right? Like in a closed environment, I know who those 5 people are. Then you come back, like the chances of you catching COVID are low. But if you're Lou Williams and you go home for a funeral to pay respects to somebody that was really important in his life and the community of Atlanta, and then you go to a restaurant, like you're exposed to more people, and then you don't have your mask on at certain points, you're exposed to more people. So it's all about what your exposure rate was. Alex Caruso of the Lakers, he was supposed to go home for his sister's wedding, and there was going to be upwards of 50 to 100 people.
Right.
And if he had gone and done that, he would be in the same boat as Lou Williams. Again, because you're exposed to more people. So based on everything the NBA has done medically and the advice that they've gotten, the more exposure to people, the longer your quarantine is.
Wow, okay. To me, the number of people makes sense. Like if you're around this many people. But I think if you leave the bubble, and you're vulnerable because on your way to the airport, you're running into people on your way to here or there, right? So to me, it's all the same. But I once you know you're going to be having the quarantine for X amount of time, do whatever you want. If that means that, whatever. Just like, to me, be smart, put yourself in the best possible environment. But you're a grown man, and honestly, your teammates should hold you accountable. That's the one you owe an answer to.
You are a big fan of chicken wings. Do you have a flavor of chicken wings named after you yet? Like Lou Williams?
Oh, that's right. I did at that club, right?
Yeah, at the club, he has the Lou Williams lemon pepper flavor, which I think is the worst chicken wing ever, by the way. Lemon pepper.
I like lemon pepper.
You do? I don't like it.
I like lemon pepper. Yeah. No, I like the dry rubs. I like them all. Why not? Were we having a chicken wing discussion?
Yeah, I just want to see if you have a chicken wing flavor named after you yet, because you love chicken wings way more than I do.
You don't like chicken wings?
I like them, but they're not. If you gave me 5 other things, I wouldn't pick chicken wings.
So out of all the shows that we did at a Buffalo place or at a Wild Wing place, you always had wings, didn't you?
Yeah. I don't mind them. I like eating them, but it's not on my top 5 list.
It's like saying cottage cheese. I don't mind cottage cheese. I'm just you look at it the same way?
I can't do cottage cheese. See, no, there's a difference. I can't do cottage cheese. I don't know. I just never could. But if chicken wings are presented to me and they're like, hey, you want to eat chicken wings? I say yes. But if you said, hey, do you want to eat some tacos, some burgers, pizza maybe, or chicken wings? Chicken wings would be the last option for me.
Chicken wings? Hot dog. Pick one.
Ooh, what kind of hot dog?
Bro, they're all the same. They're all terrible. So you choose.
I would go hot dog.
Over a chicken wing?
Yes, absolutely.
What is wrong with you?
Absolutely. A little pimento cheese hot dog? Son, come on.
Sorry. I don't think I'm supposed to do that on the air. But that's just, for those who don't know, I have not had a hot dog since 1984, James Coney Island. That's the last time. So, do the math. It's been a while.
All right. Any last thoughts from the world of sports or anything else going on?
So, yeah, I mean, think about it. In the last few days, we've had the Texans officially get started with the business. We've got the Rockets starting their season and they're having their second game tonight against Milwaukee. And third, the Astros went from an amazing start to what's going to happen with Verlander to now everybody's injured. There's a lot of things that we have to kind of let marinate at the moment, but at least we have these things to talk about for now. And hopefully everybody in the Astros does what they have to do to stay safe, and same with all the other teams.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a wild card question real quickly. Yesterday on my Instagram, at Raheel Doing Things, make sure you follow me, I put up a meme, okay? I'm putting a lot of Houston memes out. And the meme was basically saying people from A-Leaf don't respect the fact that people from Sugarland say that they're from Houston. Now, you being a guy that grew up in A-Leaf, when you hear me say I'm from Houston, but I grew up in Sugarland for most of my, my formative years, is that a fair statement? Like, am I allowed to say I'm from Houston?
To me, it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to people from Houston, you say exactly where you are from Houston. Yeah. If I'm talking to my family in Miami, I'm not telling them more than likely, oh, yeah, Sugarland. Hey, it's like, if I were to tell you Kendall, which is a little suburb in Miami, that means nothing to you, right? But Miami, oh, yeah, I get that, right? So I think it depends. If you're talking to people from Houston and you say you're from Houston, you're not doing yourself a service. You're not repping your city as well as you should.
Yeah. So if somebody says, hey, where'd you grow up? I go Sugarland, right? Not Houston.
I say A-Leaf, and it's funny the looks I get. Every time. You say it to somebody from A-Leaf,
it's cool.
That's what you get. Say it to somebody else from A-Leaf, you're not from A-Leaf, there you go.
They're like, ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing. When you tell somebody you're from Sugarland, they go, oh, watch out, Mr. Sugarland. Ooh. And I'm like, no, dude. Like, I grew up in the rough part of Sugarland. We didn't even have a closed neighborhood. Like, you could just drive into our neighborhood, okay? So it was dangerous, okay? we didn't have that, okay?
I'm going to throw it out to you. I want to see your facial expression. Katie. No, Katie's a great area. West U.
Ooh, Mr. West U. Okay. Look at you, Mr. West U.
And there are rough parts of Sugarland, Tony. There are. There absolutely are. There are rough parts of every neighborhood.
Absolutely. Okay, I just want to get your thoughts on that A-Leaf thing because I got some good comments on Instagram. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, do it.
Look at you, always asking for followers and then telling your friends to message you on the Facebook chat. Oh, I love Mr. Raheel. He's great at TV and radio. Say hi to my boy CJ over there. CJ's great.
What's up? Mr. Raheel Ramzanali. That's right. Mr. Raheel Ramzanali. I'm just Raheel. Just Raheel.
CJ has been a big fan of Channel 13 for a long time. He messaged a lot of us, so we appreciate his support, CJ. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. All right, man, we are done. I'm going to do a little Texans, I don't want to say rewind, but we had a lot of information coming out of Texans headquarters this week. Bill O'Brien spoke, JJ spoke, Sean spoke. The first real time with them together. And one of the things that I found fascinating, and I kind of touched upon it earlier, was not only all the precautions the Texans are doing with the building itself, but the way they're shuffling people in and out of the building. They have 5 groups. They all get dressed in different areas. They all come in at different times of the day. So we're going to kind of look at all 3 perspectives, Bill O'Brien's, JJ's, Deshaun's, on how things are going into the season.
All right, perfect. And that's it. I don't have anything else to promote. So make sure you watch the newscast. Make sure you watch Nuno tonight on the 9, 10. What else? So how many? And then Rockets Bucks tonight. We got that too.
Yeah, and I don't know who's going to win tonight. I hope there's a little drama. Wow, I'm really close to the screen.
Yeah, you really want to let people know. Look at this haircut.
Look at that. Do you think the Giannis James thing is going to come up a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. It absolutely will. It will. And I think we're going to get some drama from tonight.
I hope so. I like drama. I do. I do like drama. And yes, Madrid 3, Man City 0. That's what we need to see, Raheel. Champions League coming up real soon.
This week, right? You guys play on the 7th?
What day is it? Hold on. Look.
Yeah, today's the 2nd. So you guys play on the 7th or the 8th? Because those are the only 2 days they're doing the prelim games.
The 8th. So it's Friday.
Ooh, man. That's going to be important. You guys need 3
goals. And by the way, one of the few games that will be on TV without a paywall.
That one?
That one, and I think Barcelona has a game without a paywall as well.
Okay.
The rest of Champions League is on another platform paywall that you have to pay to get. So, yeah. So I'm gonna probably email you because I know you know people who know things about the internet.
All right, man. I'll talk to you on Thursday.
Later, man.